Hi everyone, I'm John Manning, and this is Dr. Frank Cassell, one of our most notable authors and historians. He's done a wealth of work and commitment to Sarasota County. He has written 2 spectacularly good books. I've actually read them and not fallen asleep, Frank. One is about the making of Sarasota County, and the other is about Bertha Palmer, the Suncoast Empire. So, Frank, would you like to talk a little bit about yourself, or?
Well, thank you, John. That's a kind introduction. I don't know quite how to describe myself. I'm an old academic.
Indeed. You're tall.
Yeah, I earned my PhD in history at Northwestern University. Taught for many years at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Ran one of the campuses of Roosevelt University in Chicago, and ended my career with 10 years as president of the University of Pittsburgh at Greensburg. Academically, I rose through the ranks to full professor, and wrote a number of books and articles. I was really trained primarily in colonial and early national American history, but sort of like Mae West said, I strayed. And over the years, I've gotten interested in and written about a number of topics, such as the World's Fair of 1893, a great love story from southern Indiana in the 19th century. And then, of course, when we moved to Sarasota, I immediately got interested in the history down here because of the connection, actually, to the 1893 World's Fair.
And that was Bertha Palmer, was it not?
Well, that was the connection. I had written a number of articles about the World's Fair, and one of them dealt with reform movements and how reform movements use the World's Fair to promote their particular agendas. Well, every minority group around was there, and one of those groups, of course, was women. And women had been struggling for a long time for equality, equal pay, and a number of other things. Bertha, as it turned out, was very interested socially in the status of women and children, and from her position as head of the women's division of the Columbian Exposition, which was an incredibly high position for a woman to have. There had never been a commission of women at any World's Fair, and she was the first to head the first one. But she used it as a good opportunity to press her interest, and particularly in the issue of equal pay for equal work. Now that sounds like kind of a modern issue, but this is in the 1890s, and she saw it as primarily a family health issue, that women were being were forced to work out of the home because of husbands that were alcoholic or for some reason or another could not provide for their families.
Right.
So women had to go out and get jobs, to earn enough to keep the babies fed. And then when they went out, the employers who understood there was a social stigma attached to women working outside the home, they paid them less. And she was outraged by this. And she also pointed out the fact that women that did go into the workforce actually discovered a new freedom, and they had the options of choices which they had never had before. So she pressed this issue right up to the President of the United States when he visited the World's Fair. Her leadership in the World's Fair made her one of the most famous women in the world. And so her voice was heard. She was also one of the richest women in the world, which helps magnified her voice considerably. And so after the World's Fair, she did a number of things. She went back to kind of being a major figure in Chicago society. She became part of King Edward VII's social circle in London. She had an apartment in Paris, which she visited once a year. She had an estate in the Isle of Wight. I mean, you know, this was the life of a widow of a very rich man who had millions of dollars, in an age where millions of dollars
really meant something.
really meant something. And in 1910, when King Edward VII died, and all of the people that were close to him socially were sort of not particularly welcome in the palace anymore with the new king and queen, she was left with the problem of what to do with herself. And what she decided to do was to take a look at Florida and at Sarasota. From an ad that she saw in the Chicago Tribune, she ended up within a few weeks on her private Pullman car coming to Sarasota, Florida, which was a minor village at the end of the rail line next to the jungle, which started right at the edge of town. And it's at that point where her story really changes. And the things, I mean, her executive power and ability was certainly always there. But she had never really thrown herself into the business side of things. I mean, her two sons had gone to Harvard, done internships in major banks, and had helped their father till he died in running the Palmer business empire. And then she began to get more and more involved. But when she came to Florida, she came really in the beginning just to find a place to build a winter estate.
Sure.
And she found it in Osprey, just south of Sarasota. And she did build a great estate there, Osprey Point. But in this process of carrying out the whim of a very rich woman to have a winter resort in a very attractive area, but in that process she began to take stock of the fact that this was indeed a frontier and that there were many, many business opportunities that existed. So within weeks of landing at Sarasota, she began buying property.
Right.
And eventually she purchased 140,000 acres of land, which, when Sarasota became a county in its own right, separated from Manatee, would have been between a fourth and a third of all of Sarasota counties. And much of it was to the south, southeast, and east of Sarasota. But actually she had property all over the place. And she certainly had a whole bunch of properties around Tampa, for that matter. But the real story that I try to tell in the book is, what did she do with it?
Frank, if I can jump in for just a moment. My understanding, Bertha was a pretty mature woman when she came to Sarasota.
She was.
And
she was born in 1849 in Louisville, Kentucky, and she came here in 1910.
So she made this decision and these business decisions in her 60s, if I recall correctly.
Yes, she did.
And A.B. Edwards referred to the Palmers, Bertha and Palmers, as the single most important family to help transform and create Sarasota. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, what he said was that the most important event in Sarasota history was the arrival of Bertha Palmer and her family. And I mean, it's a little hard to argue with that. I mean, Sarasota in 1910, like the rest of the country, was gripped in an economic downturn. There was nothing much going on. There was little electricity, not much phone service. You had human waste in essence,
absolutely.
flowing down the middle of Main Street to the bay. I mean, it was not a happy place to be in. But in a few years, it was completely transformed, and it all had to do with decisions that she made.
And her sons carried it through after she passed.
Well, her sons were very important. So was her brother, Adrian Honore, who had a lot of experience in business. He'd been an important part of his father's land estate operations in Chicago. And so the families were very close, and they worked very well together. But as it developed, no major decisions or even medium important decisions ever were made without Bertha's personal consent. So she was not only the main driver of what they were going to do, but her management style was not so much hands-on the detail, but she wanted to know and in time to veto it what people were planning on doing.
Well, she brought also, my understanding from your book, was she brought a scientific view to agriculture also.
Yeah, the funny thing about this whole thing, and I'm glad you raised this, is that this great social queen of Chicago, this woman who had done so much for women,
right?
That she makes her real mark in Sarasota in land development and agriculture, and in the stock raising,
right?
Cattle, hogs, particularly.
Right.
None of these were things she knew anything about when she got there. But as you so rightly point out, she did believe in intelligence, she believed in science, and she believed in acquiring science, and she had the money to acquire it wherever it was needed. And the other thing is that she figured out that she could get a lot of free information on all those subjects from the Extension Service at the University of Florida and from the United States Department of Agriculture. And she freely made use, she corresponded directly with agents all over the country.
Something that is still true today. The Extension Service also provides a remarkable wealth of information for local farmers and ranchers.
Yeah. On every conceivable subject, and that helped her. But she also brought in soil experts who tested the soil to see what could grow there. She brought in experts to look at the problems of this 140,000 acres that she bought. Most of it was quite unusable for anything. It was underwater much of the year.
You got, yes, sir.
And it had to, if it was going to be used, it had to be drained, and then it had to be irrigated. And that was going to cost money. But she did it. And that takes up much of the book, discussing exactly what she did. The creation of her great farm communities. She believed, she started out thinking in terms of developing Sarasota that she would sort of be like the East Coast. It would be rich people like her building hotels and railroads and bringing other rich people from the north to come
kind of
down.
Sounds like modern Sarasota now.
And she actually did tour the eastern side to see what was happening.
Sure.
And she did try several times to make that come true here. None of them, most of them did not have much success. But she had another insight, and that insight was that there was a growing middle class in America, in American cities, and it was a discontented middle class. It was a class of people that had, either were just off the farm or, had their roots in the rural areas, but had moved into the cities to be part of and take advantage of the Industrial Revolution,
right.
all the factories and job opportunities. But on the other hand, cities, certainly in the 19th century, were not necessarily very nice places to live. And they were dirty and they were smoky. The jobs didn't pay all that well, and they were very regimented. And now the people she was interested in, though, were people that had money, and those had to be in the middle class. So this was going to be managers, librarians, lawyers, doctors. This was not the super rich, but it's certainly a growing, affluent group in American society. And her pitch was, look, you guys are unhappy in the city, and I'm going to make you a deal you can't refuse.
You bet.
I'm going to make it possible for you to come to Sarasota, Florida.
The most beautiful place on the planet.
Greatest weather. You can through me, you can obtain on time a 10 or 20 acre land, and you can grow vegetables, and you can grow oranges and grapefruit, and you can be secure for the rest of your life. And of course, you've got all this stuff you can do. There's water, there's fish, there's lots of stuff to do, and you'll be your own person. And it clicks.
Sure, and she offered support.
Oh, she sure did. I mean, you can't take a bunch of city dwellers and expect them to know anything about farming. She didn't know anything about farming when she began. What she did was to build test farms. And these test farms did a couple of things. One is they did experiment on other crops that might grow in her area. But it also was a place that you could take possible buyers,
right?
And they would see what could grow there because it was growing there.
Sure.
And they could see where the railroad was, and they could see how easy it was to get from where the stuff grew to the railroad, which was essential when you were trying to export to the north oranges and vegetables.
And Bertha kind of helped get that railroad here.
Well, that's one of the stories, is how the railroad, which is now the Legend Trail, isn't that it?
Yes.
Yeah. But that, until recently, it still had the railroad tracks still down.
You did.
And it was built because Bertha insisted it. She wouldn't buy the land unless the railroad agreed. And then she built 4 stations along it. Each one was a Palmer profit-generating center. And that's a different part of the story, but it shows her foresight and planning ability.
I have to tell you, folks, when you see this video, you really need to buy Dr. Cassell's books. I'm getting absolutely no commission for this, but they are fabulous insights into maybe the most remarkable and effective person in Sarasota County history and in the creation of this county. So, Frank, I want to thank you for coming by and give us a few minutes.
Glad to do it.
Fabulous as usual.
Thank you, John.